Subscribe to Rajshri Food and click on the bell icon for more updates.
Well, we often feel and think of making restaurant-style food at home. But often we go wrong because in a restaurant, we make a lot of basic gravies and then mix and match in varying combinations. Today, let's make some basic Indian gravies. Let's begin. I'm going to show you three types of basic gravies. The first one is a tomato gravy or a Makhani gravy. The second one is a white gravy and the third one is a yellow one. Let's begin with the Makhani gravy, for which we need to heat oil in a pan. While the oil is just kind of beginning to heat up, I'll add in red onions, roughly cut, along with this garlic. This is a gravy that generally does not use ginger. While the onions just kind of begin to turn translucent, let's add in roughly cut tomatoes. And to this, I'm also adding in broken cashew nuts. Stir this on high flame and add in some salt. And allow this to cook on high flame for 5 to 6 minutes. The tomatoes have become softer. Let's add in a few more ingredients. The first one is to make it nice and creamy. Let's add in some cream. So the whole idea is to make it nice and smooth, but of course we need to run it in a grinder, but that's later. Before that, let's add in some spices. The first one is red chili powder. To this, some garam masala, followed by some Kasuri methi, sugar for some sweetness, and finally some butter to make it nice and velvety smooth. Let's give all of this a good mix. Time to add in some water and allow the tomatoes and the rest of the ingredients to become nice and soft. Also, finally, some vinegar to kind of balance the flavor. One good final mix. We need to cover this and allow this to cook on medium flame for a minimum of 20 minutes. While the Makhani gravy is cooking, let's change the burner and start making the white gravy. For this, of course, we need a pan and we'll add in lots of oil this time because this is a gravy that uses a lot of oil. Once the oil heats up, we'll add in some garam masala. We'll keep it very simple. The first thing that goes in are some bay leaves and some green cardamom. This is followed by roughly cut onions. And along with this, some broken cashew nuts. We need to fry these and ensure that the color of this does not change, and this kind of just turns a little translucent in color. While this mixture is getting sauteed, let's add in some garlic, followed by a green chili, and to spike up, we'll add in some white peppercorns. Well, do not add in black peppercorns because the color would completely change. Give this a stir. And while this is cooking, let's make a slurry using yogurt and refined flour. Mix this well and ensure that this becomes lump-free. The refined flour is added in this case so that it becomes nice and thick. We're going to add this into the mixture. Add in some salt and sugar. The sugar in this case is not to make this sweet, but just to kind of balance the flavor and bring out the natural sweetness from the other ingredients. Time to add in some water. Cover if you wish, or just cook this on high flame for a minimum of 15 to 20 minutes. Intermittently, ensure that you keep stirring this gravy because this has tendencies of sticking at the bottom. Let's move on to the third gravy, and that's the yellow one. So we move this aside and bring in a fresh pan. To this, let's add in some oil. Once the oil begins to heat, let's add in some garam masala. Again, keeping it extremely simple. A few bay leaves and a few green cardamoms. We'll add in sliced onions and allow this to cook till they are nice and golden brown in color. At this stage, to hasten the process of browning onions, you can also add in some salt, but remember the fact that you need to add it in quantities that you would remember later. Give this a good stir and fry the onions till golden brown. Time to add in ginger and garlic, which is roughly cut. Well, all of this eventually is going to get blended into a fine puree, so keep it as rough as you can. Time to add in some broken cashew nuts and allow these to fry a little as well. Time to add in some roughly cut tomatoes and along with this, some powder spices. Let's begin with red chili powder, something that gives you good color as well as flavor. This is followed by turmeric powder, garam masala powder, and along with this, roasted coriander seed powder. Mix this well. It's been roughly 3 to 4 minutes and the tomatoes have become nice and soft. Time to add in some yogurt. Give this a good mix. And add in some water. And allow this to cook on high flame for just 5 minutes. By this time, the other gravies would also be done and ready. Let's have a quick check. Well, that's the beautifully bubbling Makhani gravy. Also, let's check the white gravy. Well, both the gravies seem to be done. Just another 2 minutes of bubbling on high flame and they should be done and ready. Give all these gravies one final stir and with this, off goes the flame. Time to remove the garam masala from the gravies. Time to blend these gravies into a fine puree and then if required, we would also strain these. So first, let's blend the white gravy. With this, our white gravy is done and ready. Let's move on to blending and straining the yellow gravy. With this, the yellow gravy is done and ready. Let's move on to blending the third and the final gravy, which is the makhani. This too is blended and ready. With this, your makhani gravy is done and ready. To store these gravies, ensure that these come down completely to room temperature, then transfer these in individual packets and freeze them for a cool 3 to 4 months.